we need to talk about the absolute fucking magic that is Gone Girl. Okay. Well, Gone Girl, as well as the, looking into the male gaze quite a bit. So Gone Girl is basically a movie that was made in 2012. 2012 or was it 2014? I don't know. The movie is about a woman who finds out that her husband is cheating on her, and in return she basically plans out her own murder and frames him for it. Okay. She basically creates an entire scene. She makes a diary. She explains everything that's going on kind of in the diary, and then she makes it seem like her husband is about to like kill her or whatever, Anyways, so here's the main issue at hand. I actually fuck with the movie, okay? Look. I think the movie's kind of a vibe. I do think the movie's kind of a vibe. I feel like, personally, as a woman who has suffered from the male gaze, I relate a bit to the main character of Gone Girl. Now, look, I know everybody's going to be like, oh my God, isn't she a murderer? Yes. But she did it for all the right reasons. I mean, she didn't do it for all the right reasons, but, I kind of fuck with her logic a bit, you know what I mean? So basically, the reason why she even ended up in this position was simply because of the fact that she, in the beginning of her relationship with her husband, when she first met him, she painted herself as the cool girl. If you don't know what the cool girl is, she does a whole monologue about it. I'll see if I can put it in here. But the cool girl is essentially the girl who men really like. The girl who fits men's standards, you know what I mean? So for example, she likes to watch football. She likes to do masculine things that aren't really considered feminine because of the fact that men like it. Not because men like it, but she just does things that men like, you know what I mean? She watches football, she goes to Hooters, she eats hot wings, she watches crappy Adam Sandler movies, blah 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 blah. That's what the cool girl is, and that's what a lot of men want. The cool girl doesn't nag to her husband. The cool girl doesn't, ask her husband to clean up after himself. The cool girl doesn't ask any man to take care of themselves ever, which is the issue with the cool girl. Anyways, but she painted herself to be this cool girl, and in turn it resulted in her marriage kind of essentially being based off of lies, if that makes any sense. Not exactly. She was honest with him and things like that, but going into the relationship, she just pretended to be someone else completely. And because of that, her husband also in turn kind of pretended to be somebody else completely. He was trying to be like, the suave guy, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'll sweep you off your feet or whatever. We'll make jokes together. We'll be funny together. Things like that, basically. He could say the cool guy, and she was the cool girl. Now, the cool guy is not to be confused with the cool girl, because cool girl fits men's standards of what men want. Cool girl fits into the male gaze, while cool guy doesn't really fit into the female gaze, which I'm not even completely sure if the female gaze even exists, to be honest. There's a whole debate about it, whatever, but basically, the thing about the male gaze is that women have realized that the male gaze actually hurts other women. But the female gaze, does it really hurt men in return? Not really. There aren't men who end up, being killed because of the male gaze, or being abused because of the female, they don't end up getting abused because of the female gaze. They don't end up being killed because of the female gaze. They don't get harassed on the streets because of the female gaze. You see what I'm saying? They definitely do like get harassed and stuff like that. I'm not saying men don't go through traumatic shit, because they do, but what I'm saying is that, do men suffer from the female gaze in the same way that women suffer from the male gaze? No way. Not a single day in hell. Not a single day in hell, babe. So anyways, here we are, into the movie, into this pure work of genius. And the movie starts off with us not really understanding what the hell is going on. We know that apparently this man's wife is completely gone, and no one knows where she is. She's missing. I obviously skipped to the end because I've already explained that she sets up her own murder and tries to frame her husband. But anyways, we're just gonna keep going. So she sets up her husband. On the first day, her husband calls the police, obviously, because he comes home and he sees, oh my God, it looks like, somebody broke in. The table was broken. The frames are, knocked over. There's things that just look out of place, and my wife is completely missing. Here's another issue. It turns out, we learn halfway through the movie, that the husband actually moved. Hold on, maybe I should know the main character's name first. What's her name? So there's Amy and Nick. That's the wife and the husband's name. Amy and Nick Dunn. I'm not sure. Anyways, so Nick calls the police, and the police come in, and at first they're like, oh, we'll help you find your wife. But then the chief of the police, or whoever the hell she is, the leader in the investigation, we're just gonna call her Elle. Elle goes, and she sees that some things are just not adding up. The table is flipped over, but yet the picture frames look perfectly nice, even though they shouldn't be, because that just doesn't add up. She notices that there's a speck of blood above the oven. She notices, things that just look weird. And so she's like, okay, we're going to just conduct a little investigation. And then Nick's like, oh my God, should I be worried? She's like, no, it's fine. 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 After she goes and conducts the investigation, long story short, bada bing, bada boom, they're like, hey, we're suspicious of you, big dude. And he's like, huh? I would never murder my wife. I would never do anything like that. They're like, hey, we didn't say it was murder, dude. We just said, hey, you may have something to do with it. He was like, what do you mean? Anyways, Amy, by the way, is halfway into Timbuktu fucking nowhere. I don't know where the hell this bitch is. Essentially, in the beginning, Amy and Nick both lived in New York City, I believe, or was it Manhattan? I'm not sure. They lived in like a big city. It looked like New York to me. But anyways, apparently halfway through the relationship, after they got married, I believe, there was the stock market, the stock market crash of 2008, and they ended up in a really sticky fucking situation. So then they got up and they had to move to Massachusetts because Nick's mom was sick. She had cancer. Yeah, she was sick, and so they had to throw themselves into Massachusetts. Now here's the first issue. First off, they had to go to Massachusetts. First off, my best piece of advice is don't go to a place that you can't pronounce. Massachusetts is too hard to pronounce, first off. Second off, you're a city girl. We don't do suburban life. We don't do suburban living. What do we look like? Freaks? Third off, she had absolutely no family members in Massachusetts. She had no friends in Massachusetts. She had no personal connections in Massachusetts at all. She was just like one big loner, which confused me. Another thing, like I said before, why the fuck would you get up and go to Massachusetts when you know good and well you don't know nobody over there? I would have said, sorry, you can visit your mom, but I'm not moving to Massachusetts with you. I'm sorry, I can't. It's just, no. We would have had to been done. Third off, I already did third. Anyways, so there's that. She moves to Massachusetts, and like I said, this all happened in like the beginning. This didn't happen in the beginning of the movie, but this is what happened in like the beginning of their relationship before she planned to murder him. Anyway, she moves to Massachusetts or whatever. Apparently, Amy becomes friends with Nick's mom at some point in time. And, you know, Nick's mom dies. R.I.P., you know. R.I.P. And Amy takes it very hard because now Amy doesn't have that many friends. I believe around the last year of the relationship is when Nick starts to cheat on Amy with one of his students. Because apparently this nigga's a teacher, which he did say what he did for work, but I don't even completely remember what it was. So I guess it is a teacher. I don't know. Anyways, this dude's a teacher and he's fucking one of his students. Because at first I simply thought in the beginning of this movie that, oh, you know, maybe her husband, like, why is she doing this, you know? Maybe her husband's relationship with her is just boring. Maybe she feel like, maybe she's just crazy, okay? And she just feels like her relationship with her husband needs to be spruced up a little bit, you know? Maybe she needs to keep him on his toes, you know? Okay, we're 12 minutes in. Maybe she thinks she needs to keep him on his toes. Who fucking knows? Anyways, the fuck, dude. Okay, so apparently for every anniversary that they have, because they've been together for about 5 years now, they got married after 2 years of knowing each other. I don't think that's enough time. I think you need more time than that, but whatever, dude. Whatever. Apparently for every anniversary they do a little scavenger hunt or something like that. I don't fucking know, dude. Anyways, and so now Amy has left these clues basically for her husband. Here's where we get into the nitty-gritty of it all. So once Nick finds I believe the last clue, or like almost the last clue, he finally realizes that Amy has set him up to make it look like he's the one who murdered her. Here's what pisses me the fuck off. It's the fact that they make it seem like Amy's just completely wrong and she's the wrong one here. Even though it's already been revealed to us, number one, that Nick is low-key abusive and that he does have abusive tendencies, because I'm not sure if this was just like a fake memory that Amy made up, but there is a scene where Nick does put his hands on Amy. He pushes her, and in the end of the movie as well, he also put his hands on Amy again, but that's for real. So he does have abusive tendencies, and he's also cheating on her. Now, my issue is simply the fact that they make it seem like Amy is just completely wrong and like, oh, Amy's just doing this shit for absolutely no reason. She's just being abusive to him for no reason at all. She's setting him up. It's so unfair. It's not fair for him. He's the victim here. When in reality, he literally cheated on this girl and abused her. But yet, it was just like, oh yeah, so what? I cheated. Who cares? But she's trying to frame me. Like, what? That's so weird to me. That's what confuses the shit out of me. Because who fucking does that? How insane do you have to be? You can't just go and say, oh yeah, well, I cheated on her and I did like abuse her and gaslighted her a bit. But now she's trying to frame me. So I'm the victim here. No, you're an asshole. Which is why I don't even think Amy was really that wrong, to be honest with you. I think it was deserved. I truly do believe that it was deserved. I think he deserved it. Anyways, I really don't want this video to get too long, but like, anyways, we're just gonna go keep explaining. Halfway through, and then another issue. Halfway through, after he figured out that he's trying to frame her, he finds a lawyer. That lawyer just so happens to be Tyler Perry. Why the hell does Tyler Perry have to stick his big ass head into everything? Can this man just give us a break, please? Can you give us a 5-10 minute break? Like, literally, this movie wasn't even made in like 2020 or anything like that. It was made in literally like 2011. But still, why is this nigga... Hasn't his expiration date come yet? Like, if I have to watch another movie with his big ass head in it, I'm going to scream, and I'm not even joking. Anyways, this this movie was just so interesting. Anyways, Amy is halfway into Timbuktu, buttfuck nowhere, and she finds this couple. They end up betraying her and robbing her, basically. After we believe that they become friends, that's clearly not the case. She ends up leaving. She has to go back to her ex in the past, who was like super rich and kind of abusive, I guess you could say. He was like obsessed with her or whatever. I don't know the story between them. Nick ends up going to one of Amy's other exes, and the other ex confirms that Amy framed him as well and made it seem like he raped her when he did not do that. This is also a bit of foreshadowing at the end. Obviously Nick finds out, okay, so this bitch is fucking insane. After we figure that out, he tries to go to the other ex. Like I said, he tries to go to the ex that Amy goes to, who's also played by the guy from How I Met Your Mother. Okay, sure, whatever, cool. Anyways, he goes to him and he's like, hey dude, I know Amy probably framed you and make you seem like you were crazy. And the dude's just like, fuck off, get out of my face. And you know what? I kind of fucks with it, you know what I mean? Like, mind your business, you know? You know, I kind of fuck with him, you know? It's like, mind your business. What the hell? Who are you? Anyways, after Amy gets robbed and she has nowhere left to go, she goes to her abusive ex, the one that Nick went to. Not the one that she framed for rape. The other one, the rich one from How I Met Your Mother. Anyways, I guess the How I Met Your Mother money was just too good to be true, you know? Because he ends up being an asshole, and he ends up saying something. And in all honesty, I think at one point in time he probably did sexually assault her, because he does say at one point in time, he does say, like, Amy, I won't force myself onto you, which makes it seem like at some point in time in the past he tried to force himself onto her. Best friend, what are we doing? Anyways, fast forward through all of that, Nick ends up doing this interview with this really big TV show because Amy has still been declared missing. Amy ends up telling the guy from How I Met Your Mother, she ends up telling him, hey, Nick actually is abusive. Amy ends up telling the guy from How I Met Your Mother, hey, Nick is actually abusive and he abused me and I ran away. Turns out, no, that's not true at all. Obviously, we know that's not true. But anyways, because of the fact that Amy's missing case ended up becoming so big, in the Massachusetts area, Nick ends up going on this popular TV show to talk about it. He goes on the show, he makes this big mess about, oh my god, Amy, I need you to come back. I thought Amy would be smart enough to realize that nigga was a fucking liar. He was lying for the cameras the whole time. Anyway, he goes, oh my god, Amy, I need you, please come back. I love you so much. I'm sorry I cheated on you. I was such a shitty husband. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, Amy ends up believing that bullshit for some reason because they're both fucking stupid. Both of them are dumb. And she goes back to him. How fucking stupid can you be? Anyways, she goes back to him. She's like, oh my god, hi, I missed you. She sets it up to make it seem like her past ex raped her and that he kidnapped her, and that's why she was missing the entire time, when we obviously know that's not true, and Nick obviously knows it's not true either. Nick's like, oh, you're fucking insane, I want a divorce. He's like, I won't tell anyone what you did, but I want a divorce. She's like, you can't do that, surprise surprise, I'm fucking pregnant. Turns out she took his sperm. She stole his sperm and put it inside of her, and now she's pregnant with a baby. When I tell you, I'm fucking sick of the shit. I'm fucking sick of the bullshit. Obviously there was still a few plot holes left, blah 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 blah. Once they get Amy back, they do interviews with her or whatever. The police officer that was the leader of the investigation, Elle, is basically like, hold on, this shit is not adding up. You made it sound like your husband was gonna kill you, but now you're saying that it was this man who kidnapped you. That doesn't make sense. But obviously Amy plays it off and she's like, oh my god, I'm so traumatized, can we please talk about this later? So they're like, okay Amy, we believe you. And then she gets to run free. Once Nick finds out she's pregnant, he's like, oh, I'm gonna stay because I don't want you to fuck up my baby. I don't want you to fuck with my baby. And then she's like, oh yay, so we can be a happy family again. He's like, no, we're not gonna be happy. I'm going to continue to hate you, but we're just gonna pretend like we're together. And then they go on the news, and then they go on the news to talk about, oh, I'm so happy she's back, we're gonna have a happy marriage. And then she's like, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant, guys. I'm so happy, yay. Anyways, yeah, that's it. I do such a shit job at storytelling. I'm so sorry. I do such a bad fucking job at storytelling. I swear to God, I'm gonna get better at this. But anyways, I didn't want to make it too long. That's the thing. It's already 22 minutes long. I've already made this too long. I'm sorry, y'all. Anyways, I just want to talk about how the male gaze is what caused Amy to have such, I guess you could say, just like such fucked up actions. The male gaze is the reason why she ended up becoming this weird, crazy psycho. Because of the fact that she pretended to be this cool girl. She pretended to be this vixen so she can get her husband, because she believed that that's what men wanted and that's who I had to be. We're not going to talk about the trauma that her parents gave her, which probably led to her wanting to be the cool girl so she could be accepted and blah 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 blah. We're not going to talk about the abuse, babe. We're not going to talk about the abuse from her parents, but the abuse from her parents did lead to her the abuse from her parents did in fact lead to her believing that she needed to be a cool girl, or that she needed to put on a persona of someone else, so that she could please people, Anyways, it results in her turning into a completely different person, and her husband in turn turned into a completely different person as well. But then as the marriage goes on and her husband stops playing his character, she's like, no, you can't do that, that's fucked up, because I'm playing my character. And she's like, okay, so you don't want to play anymore, I'll just frame you for murder. I don't blame her. Like I said before, it's the male gaze. She's a victim of the male gaze. She truly is a victim of the male gaze. What the hell? Like I said, she's a victim of the male gaze, essentially. And so that caused her in turn to fucking go crazy. well, it didn't even cause her to go crazy. She just started to turn into, once she realized that her husband wasn't playing his role, she turned into like the nagging wife, you know what I mean? Which she wasn't even really a nagging wife. She wasn't even a nagging wife. She was just like, hey, can you please stop wasting your money on useless shit? We're in the middle of a pandemic right now. What the fuck are you doing? You know what I mean? And he's like, oh, you're being a nag. Like, no, I'm not. You're being irresponsible as fuck. Anyways, point of the story is, if you catch yourself falling into the male gaze, smack the shit out of yourself. And don't do that ever again. Be smart. To be honest with you, I feel like my video essays never end up coming out the way I want them to. I feel like my video essays never really come out the way that I want them to, simply because of the fact that I'm just not the best at like explaining things, and I need to write out like an entire script for this stuff. And writing scripts is just not my groove, babe. We don't do that around here. So yeah, I'm just gonna end it here because it's already like 30 minutes long and I'm taking up everybody's time. Have a nice day, kids. Toodles. Toodles.